Hey everybody, it's Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. Welcome to the Patreon Monthly Poll. Hey everybody, Rob Gauthier here. You guys chose yet again, and we're going to do it, the monthly poll for Patreon. The Patreon ET Whisperer portal is going to bring you the monthly poll, and this month you chose the 7 chakras, how they work and interact with the consciousness, belief systems, how they line up with our energies, and how they're a part of us all together, and how we can expand them throughout our growth. We appreciate all the feedback, guys. We should appreciate your support. And the last month or so, we've been a little less verbal on our Patreon page. Just so you guys know, it's because of the channel panel and because of the Asheville event. But we're putting in all the videos that we are going to be putting in, and we're trying to get some extra special ones. Last year, Asheville, North Carolina event, we've got clips from that we're trying to get edited and shared now. We're just running a little shorter on time. We're hoping that soon, with this Patreon, will afford us the opportunity to hire help. And if that's the case, then we're really going to be able to start pumping it out. And you guys will see a lot more of our faces here on the Patreon page. Ideally, if we can get this Patreon page up to a level where we can take more time off, we would like to make that switch to the Patreon energy, to put more and more energy into that, so that you guys are getting 2 or 3 or 4 videos per month and 1 extra pop in a week, or some kind of live event. The monthly webinars we used to do, we're going to be doing those here exclusively soon, so you'll have to be a Patreon member to be a part of those, or if you're a Patreon member, it's free. If not, it costs. And then you guys get the first opportunity to ask the questions on the monthly webinars. And right now we've just been giving a lot of open forum energy, and we're going to be doing that too soon. But ideally, we want to integrate this Patreon as a huge part of the ET Whisper energy. It gives more people the opportunity to get their one-on-one time, their one-on-one energy, to win the monthly drawings, and to have the say-so in the content that they want to see channeled. It's important for us to know what you guys want to hear about, what interests you, what you like. And this poll is just one of the many ways we're going to move into the future with Patreon on finding what you want and what we can give you through Aridif, Treb, Metatron, Nihal, and all of those other awesome entities that I bring through. Plus, when Kalina starts sharing her channeling publicly, we're going to be giving you sneak peeks of that and dropping you guys all the videos she uploads to her channel on the Patreon page, so you guys can watch it. And that way you can see that, because we know all of you here at Patreon love Kalina and support Kalina just like you do me, and just like you do Treb and Aridif and Metatron and Nihal and all the others. So we thank you guys so much for being a part of our life. The intimacy in this Patreon group is so amazing. You guys really share your hearts and your minds, and we love so much having that be a part of our day, being able to read, reflect, and interact with that information and energy. We love you guys so much, and thank you so much for being a part of our Patreon page. Enjoy the monthly poll that you chose, and now we channel. Love you guys. Greetings to all. This is Aridif, that is A-R-I-D-I-F. This is its spell. We understand that all of you desire to have a deeper understanding, in-depth co-creation for the subject at hand, encompassing 7 chakras, the way that your emotions connect to this concept, the way that your belief systems connect to this concept, and also the way to expand into your newer chakra systems of the 5th dimensional energy. So we will share with you in depth this construct. First of all, the 7 chakras. What are these chakras? In simplest terms, they are electromagnetic style of energy that is embedded into your auric field, into your physical body, emotional body, mental body, and your own constructual, energetic, co-creative mechanism that carries energies of the theme points of the human collective consciousness each of these a specific area designated to flow with energy, to collect information, to share information, and to co-create experiences within your own construct of consciousness. Let us first go through what these chakras are. We understand that many of you know the basic understandings, but we wish for you to understand the chakra systems as they are relating to the evolution of the soul. When you are first looking at your first chakra, this is called the root chakra. This energy is often thought of as the part of you that exists. And yes, this is true, but it is much more than this. When you look at your first chakra, imagine approximately 2/3 the size of your closed fist at the very bottom point of your spinal column, at the edge of your tailbone. By the anus in your physical body lies the very first chakra. This energy is what you would call red in color. Although chakras can be different energies and colors than what we express in this moment, this is the most accepted and understood of energies. In our perspective, they all carry division of light consciousness in spectrums from white to black, and all of the energies between are expressed through each human consciousness a bit different. For instance, all of you carry the red root chakra to a degree. Some of you carry such a light red it would almost appear to be a very pale pink, while some of you carry a very dark, almost red-black color of energy in your root chakra. It is different from those who perceive and different from those who experience. So each of you carry different energetic manifestation of that chakra. Let us go into the first chakra specifically. Yes, it is part of your physical experience, your physical existence, your tie into the earth collective consciousness. That is the very largest, most known part, but also it carries your own ability to feel safety, your ability to feel connected with the earth itself and the environment in which you are in. It correlates deeply with the first density. When you look at the first density, what is it that you see? You see the very elemental nature of the physical existence around you. You see all of those things that are non-living to the human perspective. You see earth, fire, rock, water, electricity, ether, and all of the connection processes that inanimate objects share, either molecularly or co-creational energy. They are similar to one another. In your perspective, they lack a true depth of consciousness, and although their consciousness is not as deeply embedded as human consciousness, it is because it is much smaller. So imagine all of those first density beings connecting to one another, creating organic material, that organic material co-creating larger life forms. Each one of you are made with undescribable numbers of these co-created consciousnesses with one another to create the entirety of your physical body. So that although it lacks the amount of consciousness that you have, there is consciousness there nonetheless. The correlation between the two are easily approached when understanding that the basic and fundamental building blocks of all creation start in both the first chakra and the first density. Going up to your second chakra, this again, for the majority's sake, is one color, but the spectrum between those who perceive and those who create are much different and vast. The energy in that construct is considered orange in your own color spectrum. When you look at the chakra, it deals with the expression of sexuality, your masculine and feminine energies, and also the spring and fire of the artistic nature of the soul, the creative forces and the soul essence. As it leaves the second chakra, entering the third, it becomes more so of an action quality or a deep yearning quality. You look at that chakra and correlate it with your second density and what you receive. The second density also a place where multiplication of consciousness occurs. Before the second density, in order for a consciousness to shift, it must first either co-create or go through its own version of evolution. When a water molecule is transmuted into the hydrogen and oxygen molecules that create the molecule of water, it occurs a manifestation of change, a shifting of its own vibrational consciousness. In your perspective, when you die and enter a new body, or consciousness shifts, in the first density perspective, that division and multiplication is what causes the changing of energy. So second density is the very first place of multiplying the energy instead of division. The first place where, when co-created collective consciousnesses come together, they are able to create the more complex versions of conscious physical energies. So now you look at the second density energy. You also see that energies are not living through the idea of mentality. They are living mostly in that reactive energies. As most humans use your logical mind, the entities in second density live off of their reflexive constructs. They live off of their own instincts. That energy correlates quite well. Sexuality, masculine, feminine, your own drawn, living inside of that animalistic version of sexuality that many humans are either going through now or have transmuted to some degree in their experience. The multiplication of sexuality. When two entities engage sexually, they are able to create another life form. That is the same in your second density energy and your second chakra. So going from the second chakra to the third, you have your sense of self. This energy in the color spectrum is yellow, and again, multiple spectrums from those who perceive and those who experience. That sense of self is what most humans understand, but it goes beyond just your sense of self. It goes into the place of understanding and growing into the third density. The third density, where once you came from instinct, you are now going into intuition. You are now going into the logical constructs in basis of free-flowing thought. You are able to see backwards and forwards in time. When in second density, you are perceiving the now moment. You are perceiving only that moment itself and creating the instinct of that around you. Instead of the constructs of memory being complex, it is only cellular storage in the animal or those that are second density comparatively. Although it can trigger the remembrances of certain ideals, by no way is the memory energy very deep in the second density comparatively. Now that humans in the third density look back and forward into time, they have a greater understanding about their environment, their selves, and their motivation. As we said, the energy in the second chakra of creativity, as it leaves, it experiences and creates yearning sensations, desires to act, desires to motivate yourself to move forward. So now you see not only the energies individually, but now you see how they are creating with one another. Going to the heart again, spectral of colors to the perceiver and experiencer, but green in nature is the color or the average spectrum energy. In the heart chakra, there is unconditional love, there is lack of judgment, there is connection from your energy to another. In the fourth density, as it correlates unconditional love, either for oneself or for the collective understanding, the true nature of oneness. The fourth density also encompasses expanding beyond your sense of self to a sense of connection. This means Just as in your heart chakra, you are connecting to others' energies, connecting to your own energy, and connecting to all things that you feel a connection with. Moving up into your own throat chakra, this energy, again, the spectrums are various, but the energy averagely for the co-created Earth Collective for the throat chakra is blue. This energy is a representation of going beyond connection into the diving deeps of understanding and knowledge. It also represents communication for the entity. As you go into that fifth density, it is also an expression of communication. Communicating what is in your heart, what is in your sense of self, what is in your masculine and feminine energy, and what is in your existence. All of the other chakras below starting to connect upwards, creating more themes of co-creative mechanisms. Now go into the fifth density, also an energy where you are either going into the wisdom of all things, the metaphysical nature of the universe, the co-creative connections between yourself and others, or you can find out what it is about yourself and the things around you that are only relevant to yourself in that other version of fifth density. Both of these energies co-create not only with communication, but wisdom and the way that you express yourself into the universal and into the galactic and solar system collectives you are a part of. So as you are exploring both your communicative and your co-creational knowledge center base, one moment. So as you are exploring your communication and your knowledge base center, you co-create the fifth density and the fifth chakra. Going into the sixth chakra, or third eye, that energy again inside of a spectrum, but averagely represented as indigo. Indigo being a color that is between blue and purple, a very dark blue-purple. That color is very vibrationally connected to your third eye chakra. What is in the third eye? The third eye is the combination and culmination of your fourth and fifth chakra. In your chakra itself, it is the representation of the higher sight, the astral or ether vision. That vision co-created from a place of deep understanding of oneself and also the greater universe. Translating into the sixth density, you see a mastery of physical reality, a combination and culmination of exploring your wisdom and exploring your own connection, love, and deep feelings of unconditional love. What we've expressed previously, as well as Rob, that when you are connecting in that sixth density, you are connecting to all things that you desire to understand, and understanding intimately all things that you connect to. So in that energy, if you desire to know about something, it first must feel important to you, or it will feel important to you after you co-create with it. There is no way to understand wisdom without intimacy in the sixth density energy. There is no way to understand the nature of anything that you are not fully willing to connect to upon the deepest levels of both understanding and love. Going into the seventh chakra, your crown chakra, this energy is the combination and culmination of all chakras henceforth. When you look forward into your experience as higher density beings, you must first go through your own crown chakra in order to integrate more of your higher fractal consciousness. It is what is perceived as the bridge to your higher self and to your etheric nature. When you go into the seventh density, you are leaving the physical reality, going into the non-physical essence that is your soul. That energy is a representation of all themes upon your earth collective consciousness fully achieved and understood. For those of you who have a fully opened crown chakra, that means you are fully connected and all of your chakras run at 100%. Most of you have wide open crown chakras, but wide open to the perspective of the energy and where your chakras are in that moment. When we have told other human consciousnesses that your crown chakra is very open, in fact, it is more open than the majority of humans, it only means that your other chakras are also open, very deeply and very widely, and allowing access to information. So this gives you the understanding of not just the explanation of chakras, but the way it incorporates themselves into the physical universe and non-physical consciousness. This is important. Why? It is important because that is what the chakra is, a communicative format from the essence of your soul in a non-physical state to the physical reality inside of your own experiential quality. When you perceive your own emotions, what you are truly perceiving is the way that your non-physical energy is transmitting experiences into your physical reality, and how well in balance or in tune the vibration of your experience is going to your soul's understanding. What we mean by this is your non-physical self knows the true nature of the universe. It is whole. It connects to all other parts of yourself, while your physical incarnation does not know all that your non-physical soul does. Let us use an example. I am upset at my neighbor because they have the goal to interrupt my dinner with noise. It feels bad emotionally in your stomach, in your third chakra. It feels bad in the lower bowels, between your first and second chakra. It feels as if you are angry, you are getting pins and needles in your skin. Your face is turning flush or red. Your breathing becomes erratic. All of that energy is a physical manifestation of your chakras transmitting signals. What signal are you receiving that creates such imbalance in your physical body? The signal that you are receiving that creates the imbalance is that your experience is not in par with what your soul knows and understands. Your soul knows that you have co-created this with your neighbor. Your soul also knows why you created it with your neighbor. You created with it because of your belief systems about your neighbor, your belief system about your inherent right to peace and no others utilizing their free will in that moment. Your soul also knows that when you are upset and angry, that your first and third chakra, your sense of self and safety mechanisms, are not flowing the way that they are meant to flow in the open, non-restricted and free version that you can experience in your physical body. The soul does not do this as a punishment for that experience. It does that energy of giving your body those physical cues or red flags so that you yourself can understand that there is something that is not correct within your own energy of thinking, beliefs. That is also the representation of how your belief systems tie into your chakras. If your belief system expresses something that is different than your soul's understanding and knowing, then your belief system becomes integrated into that chakra, so that anything that is experienced that is opposite of what the belief system says can be triggered to give your physical body and your emotional body those cues. Those of you who are highly mental can retrain your own mental bodies to receive and understand this also, but it is much more difficult to cue your mental body before your emotional and physical body reactive mechanisms. There are multiple reasons for this, but for the majority, the emotional body is the centering, active, perhaps a guardian, if you will, of your own chakra system, belief system, and alignment or disalignment with those energies. So when your own senses are telling you that something is missed inside of your chakra system, inside of your emotional energy, your mental body can take you there. Hence the 10-step process and the way that it was created. It is created first of all to have your own understanding of being present and aware of your own internal systems. Secondly, the emotions that spring prompt you to look at the mental body and pattern of mentality that comes into that experience, and that helps you look and define your belief systems. If you are looking at the layers and the way that it works, we will place it perhaps in a diagram that can give you a bit more depth of understanding. The first experience as you are going down into that neighbor reference that we gave you previously is hearing noise. Your thought goes into the concept or internal dialogue similar to this. What am I hearing? It is disturbing me. It is not proper for music to be played at this time of day or night. I wonder who could be rude enough to interrupt. All of these thoughts are retaining around that belief system that you are entitled to quiet and that no one's free will should overpass your own. The belief system in the first place is what co-created the experience, the energy that you had placed into your interaction and dealings with the neighbor from the moment you met that neighbor were also co-creating and the moment that you met that entity, and every interaction that you had co-created a coalesced energy of that experience coming into your fruition. The mindset and emotions of your interactions being negative or positive also, in addition to creating that experience. Then comes the emotion of anger. Right after, the mental process allows you to go there. Because it is not in alignment with your belief, and because it is not in alignment with your soul's understanding, that is where the emotions start flaring. It is only then when you realize that in the first place, that this co-creation is something that is not in alignment with what you desire. When you were thinking your thoughts, this is a second-hand opportunity to see that co-creative mechanism. The very first part of the thought pattern seems so normal to all of you that you miss that part most of the time. You only understand there is a problem once the anger or emotion that follows comes into your experience. After the emotion comes, the triggering of the physical body comes. That allows you then to go back into your mental state, observe and understand the steps that brought you there. So once you understand that there is a problem, that your physical body is out of alignment, that your belief system and emotional energy are out of alignment, you are already at the precipice of your experience. You are already at the climax of that moment. That is where you are able to integrate the 10-step process. But in order to achieve going into this state in a more mental way, it is difficult to retrain yourself to do, but can be done. When you are going through that same process, your mental state starts going through all of the same things. How dare someone play this energy in the time of day? Why would someone infringe upon my free will? You understand negative thought versus positive thought, not in the inherent definition of negative and positive, but in the defined version of your own prescripted constructs of those words. You understand the difference between a negative feeling thought and a positive feeling thought. If you are able to train your awareness to the very first negative thoughts, then you can bypass the emotional flux that goes with it. You can catch yourself in that moment and instantly redirect. The last step of the 10-step process of the cleansing purity of your own emotional energy. And that moment you can say to yourself your soul's true understanding. If you are able to catch that energy with your mental body first and not allow it to go through the paces of your emotional body and with your belief systems. Many of you who have worked within the 10-step process for long enough are able to catch yourself before you get there and even change a belief when first encountering it. That is the mastery you have at your own fingertips if you desire. The practice of that energy is what helps you see the patterns of mental energy, of emotional energy, and of your belief systems that create the negative experience in the first place. The way that all of these things are connected you can see now in a more intimate detail, but the way that your actual energy works is a much more detailed definition. The mechanics themselves are much more in-depth than just the simple layout of the understanding of how they co-create with one another. For instance, when you are working from a period of your experience that is positive, the vibration of your soul's essence goes into your experience of the chakra system, and positive thought and vibration are 100% in alignment with your belief systems and do not actively affect your chakras in a negative way or negative side effects emotionally bleeding through as physical ailments. So you are not noticing that energy. But when the negative experiences come through, it triggers all of those emotional energies and physical energies. But why is this? The mechanics of the energy are different. Love is a vibration that is very different in the way it is transmitted from the non-physical self to the physical self. When you see love, if you were to draw it out in a line of energy, it would be an energy that goes up and down in deep waves that are compressed. And when you are seeing that version of love, it is up and down and so compressed it connects to all of the parts of your chakra energy. It transmutes through the essence of geometry in a non-physical way through your chakra systems out into your DNA and announces that energy to your body. The love vibrational energy creates more complex geometrical patterns and the thicker, wider and higher waves. That means when it goes through your chakra, it is interacting with almost every part of your chakra. Then, when it goes out, it feels positive, it feels good, it feels blissful. When that same negative experience, thought or processing comes from your lower fractal consciousness outside of your physical body, the non-physical essence, it comes in very short and long winding energetic threads, less complex geometrical patterns, and it does not touch nearly 1/10 of your chakra. In some cases less than 1/35 of your chakra. So the energy is dispersed. It is the same as throwing a handful of sand several inches to a few pebbles of sand several feet. That heaviness or energy of compression that positive love energy gives comes through you so wholly it feels good. That sparse energy that comes creates an empty sensation. That is why most of you who go through negative emotional experiences experience what you call a feeling of emptiness. It is not truly that your body feels empty. It is that consciousness and the way that it is compressed and the way that it is expressed feels less than normal. It feels not as condensed. It feels not as full in yourself. And that is why the negative experiences mechanically work and feel negative to your physical body. When your DNA shoots out the signals that are sent from the non-physical transmission of negative emotions or negative thoughts, it creates a deformed version of natural energy. And when a deformed version of natural energy occurs, it does not feel good in your physical, mental, emotional body or your belief systems. That is why that disbursement feels so much more negative than that very compressed energy does. Now we understand that there's a great deal more that we could share, but we will get your queries, Kalina.
Thank you very much, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
Well, first I'm going to kind of reiterate some stuff here regarding when you were talking about the 7 chakras. They all seem to correspond with each density. For instance, first to the first density, second to the second density, and so on and so forth. Am I correct in this?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I'm going to try to ask this without sounding too complicated, the next thing that I'm going to ask. So, my question is, I mean, when we look at all the other beings that are on this planet, and possibly ETs, which if we have time we'll get into later with their chakra systems, for those that may relate to, I wanted to ask about if humans are having all 7 chakras that connect to the higher densities. I'm wondering, is this a natural construct, or does it mean we're all altered to contain all of the different densities? Because from what I understand, which if we have time we'll get into later, there are a lot of other beings or extraterrestrials who don't have, for instance, like Treb does not have the ability to see you, but if we wanted to activate the ability to astral project, which I'm assuming probably comes from the third eye or crown areas, we would have the ability to see you. So it would suggest to me that there's something different about humans, and I was wondering, and I know that's a lot, that's really multiple questions in one.
Yes.
But I was wondering if you could clarify that a bit, how it is we have 7 chakras when we're only just now entering from 3D to 5D, or but when I say 5D, I mean 5th dimensional, 4th density beings. Could you clarify that for us?
Yes, we understand. First of all, when you are looking at the chakras and densities, they do correlate, but they do not encompass one another, which means you cannot only perceive the dimensions or densities within the chakra energy that you are perceiving. Those entities that have 7 chakras that are not human can be 4th density beings. If you are carrying 7 chakras, you may only be able to see in 3rd density. The amount of chakras does not correlate directly to the amount of densities that you are able to perceive. That specific niche energy that most humans incorporate within themselves about going into the higher densities is multi-dimensional DNA, which is something that is much different than the chakras and the densities in the way that they correlate. For instance, because of your own energy and integration of Syrian consciousness, of Pleaidian consciousness, of Andromedan consciousness, all of those gave you different density input, coordination inside of your DNA. And when all of those energies are correlating with one another, it gives you the ability to shift your vibrational pattern through. And yes, your 7 chakras do allow you to go through into an experience of heightened experience, and in your 3rd eye and crown go into either perceiving or astrally projecting higher densities. But even those entities without multi-dimensional DNA can still have 7 chakras and be in the 4th density. It does not mean that they are able to see above themselves. It does not mean that the chakras themselves tie or link them in to that density. It only means that the density, version, and definition are the same as the definition of the chakra itself. So we are correlating them by meaning and by theme, but not by accessibility, if this makes sense to you.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, for instance, Treb has more consciousness than we do, but it's curious. And then I can understand with the DNA. But if Treb has access to, I don't know how many chakras he has, but let's say if he has 7 or more chakras, what is it with the DNA connecting to the chakras that makes it where we can, if we really work to open up and activate our DNA, and I'm guessing use our chakras along with it, what is it that makes us have the ability to actually project out and see you and speak with you. But Treb, he can hear you and have deep, very deep connection, probably deeper than we can, but not be able to see you physically.
Yes, first of all, it is a misunderstanding in the place in which you are perceiving. It is your DNA that connects to your chakras, not your chakras that connect to your DNA.
Okay.
So when you are connecting, your chakra system connects outwardly to your DNA and sends the signals out to your physical body from the non-physical realm. It does not mean that your DNA can connect your chakras and send information or energy upwards. Your chakra system is a system that allows you your theme experience as a physical body, but also goes through the expansiveness of each theme. So you are able to explore each theme in the density that you are in and experience a different, more expanded version of that experience. It does not mean that you are able to jump up into densities or dimensions just because they are correlating with the chakra. For instance, there are many of you who go into your 6th and 7th chakra frequently. You utilize your third eye and crown quite a bit. That is where your intuition, your audio clairency and telepathy happen. But many of you are not able to go into the higher density unless you are in your sleep state. This shows you that it is your energetic vibration through your multi-dimensional DNA that allows you to go up into that experience of the higher density, not the chakras themselves. So your chakra energy connecting to your DNA, giving signals outwards, does not correlate with your chakras going through your DNA and going up the ladder of different or higher consciousnesses or densities. When, for instance, your example, Treb Bor Yit NE works from his own construct of consciousness in the 5th density, he is able to access his chakras to a higher degree with his higher amounts of consciousness and connect with our own energy without perceiving us or seeing us. But the reason that humanity does, although Treb Bor Yit NE has more chakras than human, when yourself goes into that same experience, you are going through the higher density through your physical DNA, and that links you into your experience of higher dimensionality. Your chakras do have a part to play, but the chakra part is only the access version of that theme that allows you to go up instead of your energy connecting from your chakra to your DNA, if this makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I've always thought of chakras as vortices and portals.
Yes.
So, let's see. Someone had asked about expanding chakras. So it seems to me, if it's basically the DNA connecting to the chakras, would this mean if we were to work on, for lack of better terminology, probably expanding our DNA, or opening up, or you know what I mean, with the DNA, is that, I would think that's a way to expand the chakras. Is this correct? And how would we do that?
Yes, but it is in a vice versa format. When we express that the chakra system connects to your DNA, which connects to your body, you must integrate the expansion of your chakras, which then enhances and activates the parts of your DNA that are most relevant to that experience. So, when you are going through your natural shift of consciousness, going from the density that you are in now to the 4th density energy in a more full way, we understand, yes, you are in 4th density, but when you start experiencing the 4th density upon a daily experience, your higher fractalized consciousness brings more of the energy into your physical body. That is what grows the chakras. That is what expands the chakras. Because you have more consciousness added to your physical body, it expands those energies and chakras and then starts activating the parts of your DNA that are necessary. For instance, those of you with an affinity towards Syrian energy, once you activate and integrate more of your higher fractalized consciousness into your body, expanding the chakras, This energy will allow the vibration of communication from your non-physical self to your physical body to a much higher degree. That means it will start going through your DNA at a quicker and more ferocious pace. Once this occurs, it can turn on the activated switches to your Syrian higher dimensional energy. Same with those who connect with Pleaidian or Turian, etc. Whatever energy you integrate more of through your higher fractalized consciousness in your auric field, and the larger the chakras become, the more you can tap into the secrets of your DNA.
And you said they would do that by, or we would do that by integrating our higher fractalized consciousness. So what are some methods or tools that we could do to integrate our higher fractalized consciousness?
Yes, first of all, being yourself to the highest degree. We know we have said this many times to many of you, and we continue to express this. That is because it is the most important portion of this idea. The integration of being who you are allows more of yourself to come into yourself. That means that being without resistance in your thoughts, actions, beliefs carries a great deal of growth and expansion naturally. Now that you are going in at third to fourth density exchange, now that you are fourth density beings, you have even more access to integrating more of that consciousness. The meditation is one tool that is most useful in our perspective to the larger percentages of you. It gives you time to be yourself. It gets you access to the parts of yourself that you do not perceive as frequently as you could, the parts of you that are natural, the parts of you that feel normal to yourself. Many of you, whether it be through ego or senses of self that are distorted, try to bend the way that you are to the perspective of others, to the desire of others, or to the wishes of others. And when doing this, you are changing and shifting the ability to integrate the higher fractal consciousness to a much quicker or faster degree, but letting go of that, tapping in to the non-physical essence without background noise or resistance can be done most easily in meditation. Meditation is one tool that helps dull the sense of ego and the sense of external third chakra resistances to what you think you should or feel you should be.
Thank you. Okay,
Yes.
so you were talking about ego. Now, I've read in many texts that ego is located in the third chakra, and some people refer to it as like a false sense of self. Can we go into briefly what exactly is the ego, and what exactly do we give it or feed it to keep it busy as we are integrating our higher fractalized consciousness? What is the new function of our ego as new 5D beings too?
Yes, first of all, the ego is not entirely what many humans perceive it to be. Many humans believe it is a false sense of self, located, housed directly in your third chakra. And yes, part of this is correct, but your ego originates in your first density or first chakra energy in natural existence. It then grew and expanded into the second chakra and second density version of the self. Human consciousnesses were sped up unnaturally, evolving yourself from second to third density beings, meaning that the part of yourself and the animalistic side of yourself that was meant to protect yourself is part of that ego consciousness. Just as when you get close to a cat and make a loud noise, you see the entity, although it loves you and trusts you, it shakes its entire body, it runs in another direction, twisting itself viciously to be out of your way, although in your mind there is no danger. That is a built-in, embedded part of the physical self in the second density version. That is what your ego was, a protective mechanism. And when you went to third density much more quickly than should have occurred, that energy created a distorted perspective of what the ego was. That turned in to your third chakra encasement of a specific protective mechanism. When you think about your ego, what does it show you? It still serves the second density purpose. It still serves as a means to protect yourself. We understand some of you do not agree, but think deeply about your experiences with your ego. When you walk down the street and someone whistles at you, you smile and say, yes, I know that I am sexy, I know that I am hot, I have all of this. Some consider that an ego. We consider it a healthy sense of self. But on the other example, someone yells at you, you instantly become infuriated when they yell that you are ugly or fat or stupid. Then you automatically go into a very defensive version. F you, you are stupid, I hate you, you are not mentally correct in your mind. What does that show you? You are trying to protect your feelings. You are trying to protect your sense of self.
Right.
You are trying to protect the version of you that you are in alignment with. That is an ego. That part of you that is willing to protect yourself, that had to gain access to higher functions in a lesser time. That is why it seems so difficult for many of you to shake the ego. But we have always suggested never to shake out your ego or to shake it off. It is an essential part of your experience. What you can do to work with that portion of you and help you more accurately integrate that energy is have a clear sense of self. Know what you are. Be what you are. Do not have insistence of others change your perspectives or behavior. Allow yourself to be who you are without apologies. If you have this, then the ego portion of you will transmute into what the fourth density version of ego is. That is, perhaps as you would see it, a lesser evolved version of the ego that we carry, but similar in purpose and stature. Your ego becomes, in the fourth density energy, a way to identify yourself as an individual amongst the collective consciousness. What we mean by this is that you are now integrating yourself as a high, mid, or late fourth density being, as one individual in a collective consciousness. Many humans are not prepared for this because they believe they will lose their sense of self. If I am connected, I will be in a hive mind. I will not have my own identity and purpose. I will not have my own excitement, my own desire to do or to drive. I will only be one melted part of metal inside of a gigantic metal pot. But this is not true. Your ego transmutes into your sense of self. I am my own entity. I am the entity that all of you call Aridif. And I am one consciousness in a collective consciousness with many who are similar to my vibration. We all have the same larger ideals about what the universe is, what our race is, how our race fits in a part of all that is. Yet I myself am the only fractal of consciousness in the Denebian collective consciousness that has had my own experiences, that feels, thinks, and acts upon my own desired portion from the entire collective consciousness. That identity, that one part of many, that is Aridif within the Denebian collective consciousness, is my transmuted and evolved version of ego consciousness. It is no longer something that holds yourself back, as most of you feel, or something that gives you a protective layer necessary. It is only the individuality. Some of you feel, from the way that you understand the entire collective consciousnesses as type 1 entities, it to be quite boring because you feel there is no identity left. But we express to you that our ego transmuted is exactly this, our own sense of identity and perspective of our singularity amongst the collective consciousness.
That's amazing, Aridif.
Yes.
And it reminds me of a show I did on my show, The Earth Experience, a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Had to do with who are you without your mask. And I know when you talk about integrating the higher fractalized consciousness, that it's important to be your true self. And in order to do that, you have to shed the mask, as I call it, which is your ego wanting to protect you, because a lot of us feel like if we express our true selves, especially you guys listening to us, you probably have experiences of family members and people, if they know about you listening to especially channeled material, that there would be a lot of rejection and it can be scary. But also, we sometimes go through periods in life where we don't know who we are, or who we are seems to be changing. For instance, Rob and I have been watching this show occasionally called My 600-Pound Life. And there are these beautiful human beings. They're bedridden. They're over 600 pounds. And then most of them have a caretaker, and they are both going through incredible transformations, and even more so in some ways the caretakers, because their sense of identity has become the caretaker. That's kind of their mask as the caretaker, and the other person has become identified with this unhealthy trapped body, and they both are rediscovering who they really are, and they're shedding this mask. And so that's been, and I know Aridif, I don't know if you want to add to it, but I know for me, when I'm going through anything where I am kind of questioning who it is that I am, I ask myself, who am I without my mask, and who am I when I'm alone, behind closed doors, when no one's looking, when no one's there to judge? Who am I really? What am I interested in? What am I passionate about? What do I really feel? And what can I do to give myself the comfort and ability to express that in front of others, despite of what they might say? And also consider the relationships and opportunities that can come. And it might mean that some relationships will fall away. But am I willing to open up those doors and avenues in order to create what some people might refer to as an authentic life? Did you want to add to that, Aridif? It's not really a question,
Yes.
but...
Yes, we understand and find it quite resonant with what you've expressed both verbally and energetically. The only addendum or addition that we wish to give is that as you are going through that experience, the knowing of who you are is not only an indication of that free-flowing consciousness and negative experiences of emotion being removed, but it is also something that when you ponder at a very deep level, feels 100% in alignment with the energies of your actions, beliefs, and emotions, and will show you that free-flying energy of co-creation. When you start trying to trick yourself into believing you are something different than what the true nature of yourself are, then you will find even small resistances or snags. There is an indication throughout the human collective that often we fool ourselves into happiness. And this partially can be true. There are false senses of bliss, false senses of security. But the way that you can truly tell is that when you are going through that false identity version of what you are trying to create happiness with, there is always still parts of resistance in your mental, emotional body, or your chakra system reactiveness with your physical self. So when you are feeling happy but unhealthy, there are still misalignments from that excitement. When you are feeling happy but you are resistant to creating with others energies that once normally you found a great resonance on a soul level with, there can be bits of resistance. Some of that resistance in co-creation is a part of your new identity, and others is a lack of resonance with those that once you did think were resonance. And that energy or imbalance actually comes from separating yourself from vibrations that are not in alignment with you. But the majority of it lands within the own portrayal of your own self. If you are truly in alignment with yourself, going through that expression will not be one that is difficult. It will be easy to shed perhaps non-resonant vibrations from you fairly quickly in co-creative matters.
Yeah, it'll be a relief.
Yes, of course.
Wow, thank you, Aridif.
Yes.
All right, Aridif. So, you know how a lot of people go through, and I've had these CDs, for instance, where we talk about clearing chakras or trauma stored in chakras or chakras being closed or stagnant. Could you tell us what in that might be untrue and what that's really about?
Yes, first of all, in the construct of your previous month, we've spoken deeply about trauma within chakras and cleansing the energy of the chakra and the experience itself. Re-listening to that as it pertains to the clearing of chakras and trauma will both fully give you the constructs of what we are going to say in one moment, but also will help enhance what we are about to say also. When you are going through that experience of stagnicity or feelings of great resistance or trauma, what you can do to understand the nature of where you are at in your experience is going through what we've expressed, that awareness and working with 10 steps. But if you desire to clear that energy, you must look at the chakra and the theme itself and see what it is about your mental body, your emotional body, your belief systems that is resistant within the co-creation. For instance, those of you who are concerned about your safety, that first chakra energy encompasses your physical sense of being connected to the earth, your physical sense of safety. So going through all of the belief systems that you have about your safety, your connection to earth, what you feel about being connected to the earth, and your environment that you are in, and see what mental patterns and belief patterns are evolving to feel as negative emotions, and then work backwards from there. Going through all of those systems of resistance can be found quickly by observing the belief systems and mental patterns around any of the chakra energies. Now, in a co-creation, this is something akin to our previous question. You must identify those you are co-creating with and look at the 5-entity pattern within your co-creation. The version of them that they are, the version of you that you are, the version of them that you perceive them to be, the version of you that they perceive you to be, and the co-creator collective. When we say observe and examine that structure, what we mean is also look at your mental patterns and belief systems and even emotional interactions with each one of the 5 independent versions of the entities that are involved in your relationship, and look deeply. Working from the 10-step belief system process will help you to clear those energies out. You cannot clear something simply by singing a mantra or meditating in a certain way, although that will give you relief in a great deal of circumstances. It is only a temporary fix. The way to assure your 100% clarity of that situation, the energy behind it, and the chakra itself is by eliminating the root problem within it, by eliminating the resistance, belief system, and of the mental patterns related to the chakra and themes within.
Thank you, Aridif.
Yes, of course.
Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about, because in a lot of teachings they say there are the 7 basic chakras, but there are actually more in a human. For instance, I was taught that And between every joint, there are minor chakras where it connects, and then that even beyond the 7 chakras, there are chakras that go beyond. And then, of course, we have our aura. Do you have time to kind of briefly go over those?
Yes, first of all, when you are looking at all of the energies in your minor chakras or your sub chakras, what we can tell you is there are literally thousands of them. The meridian lines and points of the traditional Chinese understanding of this is very similar to the construct that you would find energetically. Those are important, and diving into those can be a consideration at a later point, as it is very long in conversation. But remind yourself of the second largest chakra system. These are chakras that are in between your major 7 chakras in the physical body. When you look at those, there are often blends of the themes between. The majority of those that are common for humans to feel deeply, understand, and to be blocked or resistant and cause physical energies are those between your 3rd and 4th chakra and those between your 4th and 5th. The one between your 4th and 5th is known as the high heart chakra and has a great deal of information out about, as we have expressed and other teachers have expressed. When you hear the reflection of that energy that has been expressed about this concept, it will tell you exactly the difference in the energy of the high heart compared to the heart and the throat. And as we said, it is a direct mix of the two energies. Between your wisdom and your ability to communicate in your heart lies that chakra, which means if it is resistance, you are having a hard time with your emotions about sharing what comes from your heart. And it also means that places of wisdom that you love are feeling deeply disconnected. For example, those in the high heart resistant areas are often those who have beliefs about what they have learned and find great guilt or disconnection from the idea. For instance, I found out through my own wisdom and learning that Christianity can be a negative experience for those who become fanatical about it. My husband is a fanatical Christian, therefore I find disarray with my husband. Now, something you are learning, something that you have integrated into your own personal belief of wisdom, is now fighting against your heart. That creates resistance in the high heart. There are minor chakras between all of them, but let us go into the chakras outside of your physical body. There are 12 energies, and the 13th being the collective energy, just as in the matrix system, just as in the physical and non-physical densities. When you are looking at the energies of the chakras outside of your body, there is the 8th chakra, which connects you to the energy within your higher fractal consciousness, the 9th chakra that represents your connection to the oversoul energy, and your 10th chakra going into the atmosphere energy as your personal connection to the earth collective consciousness, and then the galactic collective consciousness and the universal collective consciousness. Those are your chakras outside of your physical body, each of them tied to a different portion of consciousness. But we have always expressed that those details are less important, because in your physical body you have access to your 7th chakra. That is your gateway to everything that you consider more expansive consciousness than yourself, and that is your personal doorway to the higher self, to the oversoul, to the earth collective, the solar system collective, and within all of the collectives galactically and universally.
Beautiful. And I know we've run out of time, so I wanted to propose, because I had like a million questions that got formulated out of this, as I'm sure you can understand. But I wanted to propose, if you guys wanted a part 2, the things that I wanted to expand upon would have to be with, like, if there are star chakras and the dimensions in them, extraterrestrials, different chakras, especially the ones that we have connections to genetically. Angel and archangel chakras, if they have them, universe and God chakras, chakras of hybrid human children. A lot of us have hybrid children, and also exploring Aridif's and Treb's chakras, and it's just fun, and I think it kind of helps us see our connection on a grander scale. But certainly, this part one is very important, and like Aridif said, with the seventh chakra, we have connections to the answers with all of these within ourselves. But if you guys want to go into it, we could call it Chakras Expanded Part 2 or something along those lines. And if you're interested in that, let us know, and we can certainly put that up there to vote for.
Yes, of course, and we also wish to express to all of you that you are loved.
Very loved. We love you guys so
Yes.
much. And I want to thank Aridif and also Rob for always being here and channeling. We know that we always keep him longer than we probably should, but you are loved, and we really, really appreciate you being here with us.
Yes, we are grateful to have been here. We are grateful to have co-created. We are grateful for your being here and co-creating. You are loved, and we also love you. Bid you adieu for this evening.
Adieu, sweet Aridif.
Thank you all for your support here on Patreon. We will keep this type of unseen content coming your way. We love you guys with all our heart. Rob and Kalina. Come see our website, etwhisperer.com.